kill.
There she is. There she is.
He just put Sir Isaac Newton in the driver's seat.
So, hello and welcome to Indefinite Lunch and Infinite Combinations. This is number 120. Okay, so today we're going to explore the great storytelling in For All Mankind. I'm going to go into as much detail as I can about these episodes. Today we're going to go in depth about season 2, episodes 7 and 8, called Don't Be Cruel and Here's to You. And we'll talk about this episode. We have plenty more drama in these. Some of it's relevant towards space travel, like Ellen's advancing career. But then we also have some garbage soap opera too, which I'm a bit upset about. And then some cute sitcom drama too. So maybe you could say it's interesting. It's an interesting ride. It's kind of since it's not a complete story, it kind of makes me want to skip to the last 2 episodes to actually get with the full picture of what they're trying to say this season. I definitely know I don't have it at this point. So we're going to start with Don't Be Cruel. It aired on April 2nd, 2021. Written by Nicole Beatty and directed by Denny Gordon. And before we get started, I'll say hi to the chat. I want to say hello to Matt G. Taylor Swift greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU and Doctor Who. And hello to Snortopoopus Cuber. Hi to Kimberly Ann Hart. And I'm sorry, I'm still coming off of my cold, so now I'm at the I might cough at any moment stage. RVM 371. Does anyone remember the movie Starlight 1? No, I don't, but I'll write that down. RNG. And best. Oh, okay. So RVM 371 says, am I missing something here? And also hello to Scotty R37. Great to see you in the chat. Floating in and out with chores, but listening along. Dig the stream. Be like Franco. Like, subscribe, and share. Yeah, Franco Walker is pretty great. Hello to Gavin Blackburn. And Kapla Jill says Gorilla's random thoughts. Sorry if you needed a psychiatrist after last night's stream. No, your stream was fine. It seemed like it was exactly what it needed to be. Given the title of your stream, given the topic that you had, I think it went precisely where you wanted it to go. And hello to Greek letters. Aloha, compañeros. And there we are. And so let's talk about this episode. Let me bring up the slides. Oh, I got these notes a little too big. Let's shrink them a bit, even though you can't see what I'm doing. I'll narrate it.
Take your time.
I refuse. I don't have time. We've got to show. So here we are. Starting with, so they've been building up. They've had Thomas Paine as kind of an antagonist at the beginning, and then he started showing some growth, and now he revealed that he really does love space travel, and that he's not just a politician. He loves space, and he wants to get to Mars, and he wants to do stuff with space. He's not trying to stop things. He just has to deal with the bureaucracy and everything. And so they've been building him as a great character. Of course, he is one of the last surviving real life characters that we have in the show. So guess what we have to do to him in this episode?
Well, I mean, I was kind of expecting them to, because I'm a little bit of a fan of history, and I was familiar with a a lot of the things in the 1980s, including the Korean Airlines flight that was downed, and so I was kind of expecting that to happen. Just not like
Okay,
this.
and this is a relation to that flight that was lost.
Yeah.
And was that taken down by the Russians as well?
Yeah.
Okay, and is it the same airplane or a different airplane?
It's the same airline and flight number. Yeah.
It's the same flight number. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that was reality, but I didn't quite make it. It didn't quite make it in
Yeah, I think the
my research.
alternate timeline here is just, I think it's a congressman that was killed in our timeline, but I think in this timeline it's the congressman as well as Thomas Paine.
Yeah, as well as the space administrator.
Yeah.
So you know, he's being nice here too. He's like, "Oh, your dad had a heart attack. You have to take care of that. I'll get you a taxi." And he takes a plane. And so he's being good to her and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And ultimately, I think
it saves her
it
life.
turns out good
Saves,
for her.
Yeah, right. Right, because if she were on that plane, she would be dead. So, and Margot has a good conversation with him too, but I guess it doesn't matter now. And I didn't get to it, but I know if you actually have Apple TV, you can watch a video message that Thomas Paine leaves for his wife. I didn't get around to watching that though. Apparently, it really hits. Which is the kind of thing I would like to see from this show, is something related to that. You can cut out that Danny and Karen bullshit, and I'd be happier with that.
That was the one thing I mentioned earlier, was the one kind of sour point for a lot of fans of the show, but we'll get to that.
We will get there. I'm just angry. Oh, okay. I think going back to the flight, was that real? Okay, since that was a real event, when we see it on the news and everything, is that real archival footage of it? Sometimes I don't know what's real and what they actually craft for the show.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they use real footage, but I think there's some audio that's kind of, doctored with Reagan saying Thomas
of course.
Paine. But other than that, I think it's actual footage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would have to change his voice to make him say things that are only real in the form of alternate history.
Mm-hmm.
And well, something else interesting is you get to see Jimmy Carter before he's president, and here he's a senator, and I guess in real life he's something.
I think in '83 he would have been well into his early years of his post presidency.
And okay, and Ellen's father is apologizing, but really his brush with death saved her life. Mm-hmm. Not like he could control himself having a heart attack anyway. He doesn't need to be sorry or or congratulatory. It's just what happened. And he has a $500 million company. I kind of forgot about that, so I'm glad that they reminded me of her character arc, is that she really is quite
I think
wealthy.
a little bit of the implication of that is that she could self-fund some political campaign in the future if she ever tried to do that.
Political campaign? She was talking about, weren't they? Well, she wasn't talking about it. Someone else was talking about a private space company. I think that would be fun if she did that. But I know what happens because I accidentally looked up. I couldn't remember Larry's name, so I looked up Larry's name. So I do have a bit of a spoiler.
Well, I mean,
so I do
Larry was the one that I think was trying to drum her up as possibly pursuing politics after her missions in space.
Yeah, and so was Thomas Paine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was kind of grooming her for possibly taking over his spot, was I think his plan.
Yeah, and that I guess, and it's happening sooner than he expected.
Yeah.
Well, too bad he didn't get to see it. I'm sure he preferred if he would have retired and then she did it and then she took over.
Yeah.
And well, of course, it's her dad, so of course he wants grandchildren. Who's gonna tell him? I don't know. Nobody's telling him anything. You're probably not gonna get any grandchildren unless there are turkey basters involved and it's a political thing.
Well, you said it, not me. But yeah, it's I want to reveal more, and I can't. I'm trying to stop. And I don't know what spoilers you have seen, but I don't want to be the
No.
one responsible for doing anything. So I need to try to rein it in.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Poor Margot. I know she was on the phone with him when it happened. Definitely. And RBM 371 remembers when the Korean Airlines went down. And Greek Letters says half of the people I asked opinion for All Mankind told me it was great. The other half told me it's awful. I have no opinion since I haven't watched it. It's great when it gets to the space stuff. Even when it does get to space stuff, though, there's very little space stuff in these 2 episodes. And when we do get to it, it's some of it's good, some of it's disappointing. I don't like where it leaves off at the very end. That's why I wanted to switch on the next episode to make me feel better somehow, if that's even possible. And of course, the Russians are saying that the flight was an accident, that they don't really know what happened, so they're investigating it. So no, I think we just accidentally killed hundreds of people. And well, what was going on was that the airliner was in the wrong spot. It wasn't supposed to be where it was. It was over some kind of secret military base they didn't mean to be flying over.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of, if I remember correctly, there was a little bit of truth to that they were trying to construct a launcher out there for um, the Buran space shuttle, but for whatever reason, in real life, it never took off due to whatever Russian political stuff was happening right before the fall of the Soviet Union. Because I think the plan was for them to build their own fleet of Buran-style shuttles, and they never really got around to it. But they were going to use a launcher, I believe, in eastern Siberia to launch them, but they never, like I said, got around to it.
Right, because they got into that tiff with Afghanistan. They lost. They just lost. And in this reality, they didn't. Things unfolded a bit differently, and they didn't get into costly, unnecessary conflicts, and they ended up surviving until I don't know how long. I don't know how long this is going to go on.
Again, I can't reveal much because that would be
right.
So
you don't have to. You don't have to. I can wait.
Well, I mean, either way,
I'm a little bit impatient.
Well, I mean, the Soviet Union here obviously is way more prepared and well off than they were in our timeline. So they're able to do things that we wish we could do. I mean, without Vietnam for us and the Afghanistan war for them, all this extra money has been pulled to support the giant space effort of both nations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and their main goal is they're worried about the astronauts that are at Star City. They haven't been able to contact them. So, of course, Danielle and Morrison. Danielle Poor and Morrison. And, okay, so Margot wants to talk to Sergey because they already had a discussion. She invited him to the piano club or whatever club she goes to, and so she already has rapport with him. They already figured out how to connect the ships together and everything, so they're friends. And but Bradford doesn't think it's such a good idea, but fortunately, Ellen is on her side. Hey, and Matt G's still here. There was a massive cover-up on the Russian side of this incident, but they also uncovered a legitimate navigational error on part of the flight, says RVM 371. Oh yeah, that's exactly what they say here, that there was a navigational error that caused the airplane to be where it wasn't supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's why it was that's why somehow the autopilot messed up, and I guess the pilot wasn't paying attention. I didn't understand, but all right, sure.
Well, I mean, back then I don't think they had the kind of GPS that we have. I mean, I think there was an experimental form of it at that point, but it wasn't commercially available. But yeah, even then, I forget if it was human error or not, but I believe the pilot inadvertently crossed over to Soviet airspace, and then the fighter jet, one of the MiGs, took it out, and they were, yeah, it was a whole thing.
Gotcha. Well, then the episode cuts into Star City with Danielle. She's trying to use the telephone, but she didn't get any signal. Mm-hmm. And Sergey, very similarly, is also not able to call home. So they're actually in very similar situations. Mm-hmm. And they're just kind of a little moment here where she has to prove who she is to get in the room.
She's got to use a little bit of her pull, which I think is kind of cool.
Well, it works.
It shows how much women raising through the ranks has actually benefited the space program in a way.
Mm-hmm. Well, and she pays attention to culture too, so she bought borscht, or whatever that is. I'm not sure what kind of meal that is. It's some kind of Russian meal that you
forget what it is. I always thought it was like a Russian burger, but I'm not entirely sure.
A burger? It looks like a soup.
Yeah.
It's very steamy, and apparently if someone has died, their soul leaves in the steam. Or I guess that's the belief. Never heard of that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Russian food.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Senator Jimmy Carter.
Borscht. And a point was missed, causing error that took them over the restricted airspace. Oh, okay. And hello to Eugene Bird, who says, "Man, gee, I hope there are no conflicts in space. Seems like a rough enough place already. There's hardly a good reason for fighting here on Earth if terrorists and invaders would chill out."
Well, unfortunately, I don't think anywhere humans go, we're bringing everything else that we bring with us anyway. So there's going to be war. There's going to be possible, struggles. That's the human condition.
Well, it's reality, but I think the way it's done at the end of the next episode is not my favorite. Ellen, okay, so we're waiting for Ellen to get off the phone. That's all this scene is. It's just waiting for Ellen to get off the phone. She's getting a new job, basically being pushed towards being NASA administrator for the government.
Mm-hmm.
And Pam is there now because we've forgotten completely about Pam's girlfriend or whoever she was at the library the other day. She's been dumped or something off screen. I have no idea. Or she's having an affair. Who the hell knows? Because nobody's telling us anything. But it's fine. Eugene Bird says, Nordapupus, first burr in space, one day. Ooh. First bear in space. What video should we play for that? First bear in space. And if you do go to space, Snortopoopas Keeper.
Aye, aye, sir. And, have a bonny trip.
Snortopoopas says that it's a sour soup made with meat, stock, vegetables, and seasoning. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it did look like a soup. I know my soup. Greek letter says, I bet in the Russian base they have Soviet sandwiches. Very simple, efficient recipe. 2 slices of stale bread in the middle. We're a filling slice of bread. Greek letters.
Mhm.
That's well.
Well, you have to stand in a long line for it.
Oh no, that's funny. But just only during the USSR. I'm sure their food is much better now.
I
This
certainly hope
bread.
so.
And of course, she's offered the job, but she's telling Pam, "No, I'm not going to take it because I love you, and so I'm gonna, you know,
I think
reject
even Pam
the."
sees that there's bigger things for her in the future, and so I think Pam's kind of grappling with possibility of having to let her go so that Ellen can pursue these greater dreams.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I think it's kind of stupid that she's that Ellen's saying that she's going to reject the offer to be administrator. That's even Pam obviously can tell that that's
Mhm.
not the right way to go. She knows it. She does. I don't think Pam would want Ellen to throw away her career,
No.
especially when it's so important. And
Yeah, I mean, with at that point in time, with how LGBTQ, you know,
um,
lifestyle or lives are not seen as quote unquote normal. Uh, you know, she's gonna have to choose between this career and her, obviously, and that's gonna, I
well,
wouldn't
it's a
call it
really
driving a
silly
wedge,
catch.
but
It's a really silly catch 22 um, where uh, the reason being homosexual isn't a thing is because it can be a security risk, but it's only a security risk because it's not accepted.
Mhm.
And Gavin Blackburn, yes, I know, I agree. Jan, get to the fights in space. There are fights in space, and it makes me mad.
Well, I think that this season in particular inspired two separate fictional properties that I've read about, because I think there's this RPG game called Fate Space, and in it there's a little section that's like based in the 1980s, and it has to do with Marines going to the moon and like fighting on the moon. And then there's a book that came out recently, I believe, called Hot Moon, and it deals with kind of the same thing. And I'm kind of wondering if, like, I don't know what had happened. I mean, people get inspired by wacky things all the time, but um, yeah, I think this season is going to probably be the one that sparks the most inspiration, just because of the possibilities that you can dream up with a U.S. Soviet war in space. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Well, this is the start of it, and no, I don't like it.
Hmm.
Kimberly Ann Hart says, "Yes, Margot is such a bombshell, always going off." But I'll say why I don't like it when we get there.
Mhm.
And so Margot wasn't exactly able to get Sergey to help, but he was definitely gonna try, and so it was definitely worth that try. Then there's some photographs from where that plane flew over that shows those shuttles that you were talking about earlier that were apparently matched completely with the US shuttle plans. I don't
Mhm.
but from 2 years ago. It's a little outdated. And so
Mhm.
the problem is that they have an old defect, the O-ring defect that unfortunately destroyed the Challenger in our timeline. Fortunately, in the alternate universe timeline and For All Mankind, the Challenger isn't destroyed.
Yeah, and they found the problem.
Yeah, they found the problem, and the moral dilemma. This is kind of a Star Trek moral dilemma is we know that, well, see, a Russian jet just took it down a passenger liner, and so right after that we discover this engineering problem in the Russian shuttles. So do we tell them about this problem, or do we let them potentially send their payload of weapons towards us with that shuttle? And of course, you know, Margot has the right answer, and of course is our actions. What does she say exactly? She says something like, I want to get the actual quote for this one, but I know that it's difficult for me to remember quotes. Let's see. Here it is. Let's see. I'll ring. You don't know that, not for sure, but I do know that this thing has the potential to be used against us, and that's Bradford. Or is that his name? I don't want to get his name wrong. Yeah, Bradford. And she says, we have a choice right now to save human lives. Dozens of civilians, engineers, scientists, they could be killed. We have the power to prevent that. But Bradford's counter is that if they decide to use Burin as a weapon at some point in the future, it's their choice. And Greek letter says Red October space mode. Titan AE Drew Barrymore was Akima. It's a movie about After Earth, says Kimberly Ann Hurt. Okay.
Titan AE is a classic gem in my view. Watched that as a kid. But this whole scene kind of spurs my imagination because I just start thinking about the 7 astronauts we lost on Challenger and how them not being killed in the explosion can now pursue endless amounts of their fates are so much different than they obviously were in our timeline. So I'm definitely curious to see how that could have gone, especially since they would have put the first teacher in space. I don't know if that would have. It's not really mentioned in this season, but that would have been interesting to see. Because I think the plan was to put more civilians of like random things. Like they wanted to put a teacher in space, a journalist in space, and where that would have
Yeah,
gone.
it was going to be a whole series of because they were trying to remote space travel again because interest was waning, and so it was supposed to be some kind of. So maybe because of that, since interest isn't waning in space travel, maybe they don't even do that particular mission.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, it's not mentioned at all this season, so I kind of would lend credence to that.
That's all I know for sure is whatever is actually written in the history for this universe is all we can go off of. And Greek letter says, Jill, could you please raise the volume of Philip? Actually, I could, but it might work better if he raised the volume himself, if you can. Just
Am I low?
a bit. I don't know. I think you sound fine to me. But
I mean,
anyway,
my levels
and
are
it's gonna fix the toilets. All right, I'll try to raise them just a bit. I was really hoping they weren't going to do anything with them. Okay, I raised it a little bit. Let's see if that helps. Let me know if that helps, Greek Sliders. Oh, it's better now? Oh. Maybe I didn't need to raise it. Oh, and Karen is just monumentally stupid now. I don't know why they did that to her character. What's going on here? She's selling the outpost, and he's talking about franchising, and that should have been her cue to say, let's do a franchise deal. But instead, she's just like, she's just going to sell it. And also, she's doing an extremely huge financial decision without consulting her husband, which is one of the biggest causes for divorce, is not deciding big financial things together. I know the thing she does with Danny is way worse, but
Well,
this wasn't good either.
We're getting there fast.
Ugh, too fast.
I mean, I guess you could, I mean, obviously I know what happens later, but this interaction, I think, is key for what happens later. But the whole thing is, maybe there would have been a better way to go about it, I guess.
Do we need to pump air into Philip to increase his volume?
As far as I know. I think the only way I'm increasing my volume is by having lunch.
RVM 371 says, I might stir stuff up, but I would have stayed quiet about the flaw. Yeah. Well, I like what Margot does. That's one good thing in these episodes today. And so she does the handshake, which is essentially agreeing to the purchase without consulting her other half. Whatever. Karen sucks now. They were making me really like her for a long time. Really disappointed.
Well, this scene has always been interesting to me because this is the first time because supposedly Ronald D. Moore said that the point of divergence for this timeline is that Sergei Korolev, the Soviet rocket engineer, he was going in for a colon cancer surgery and he dies due to complication of that. But in this alternate timeline, the surgery is successful and he's able to live. And
am I
so
pronouncing it right? Is it Korolev?
Yeah, Korolev. And he ultimately helps the Russians beat the United States to the moon in this timeline. This is the first time that we see, the reason for the whole timeline, in the flesh.
And he's basically their Werner von Braun, right?
Yeah, essentially.
I guess. So because he's the reason why they got to the moon first, and so that makes sense. There was actually a reason why the Russians were more successful than they were in our timeline. And I guess he likes the Soyuz Apollo mission. And he gives her a knife, and I was like, wait a minute, what are you giving her a knife for? Oh, it's to carve. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was to carve a name in the door.
Yeah.
Because I guess everybody who gets held in that room carves their name into the door. So does she. Yeah. I guess he shares his sausage and vodka. I don't think she really eats any of it, though. I think she's...
I think he's more there just to like... And the other thing about scientists in this series is that they're constantly like, even beyond like, the barriers of nations, they are always interested in like kind of reaching across to kind of, look beyond those barriers and kind of just bond with just, the shared humanity and trying to like work together to get us where we want. And I think that's a very good theme.
Yeah, that's true. Well, communication is what it's all about. And I do appreciate that about this show. Although then it is glaring when people don't communicate. And then she shows she knows about Russian culture to toast the dead.
I think one of the names on there is Yuri Gagarin, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if it pops up again, I'll pause it there. I do have a whole hour of slides, so I gotta make sure to keep going just in case we do get bogged down. But no, it does show up again because she carves her name in. So next time it shows up when she leaves the room, I'll pause it for you.
Okay.
And Elena's trying to get her, Margot tells Elena to use the negative pressure, which of course it's something I'd done. I just didn't know the physics of what I was doing. Sometimes it requires a bit of that and shaking the dang machine. And then the side of the machine tells you, don't shake this machine. It's going to fall on you and kill you. So it's always a risk.
Gotta get that $2.50 Doritos.
Yep, very important. Well, people are always getting these sandwiches. They must be replaced very often because they could get really nasty quick.
Yeah, thank you. We used to have some at my old work in the vending machine. I'm like, how long have those been in there?
Yeah, see, that's the problem. That's what I'm worried about. I got a soda at City Hall one time when I was doing jury duty. I think it was really expired. It was gross.
Yikes.
That Greek letter says that poor astronaut is going to burn his oxygen pretty fast, jumping up and down on the moon, even in the lower gravity of the moon. Oh, oh, you're talking about the little astronaut in the corner. Yeah, that's just a gif of him jumping up and down over and over.
I like it. It's
Don't
cute.
worry, he has infinite energy in that.
Infinite jumping ability.
Infinite oxygen.
Yeah.
It's a gif. Okay, and then I think Margot is the one who really makes a mistake here, even though, I was upset with Aleda at first, but now she's just learning stuff from Margot. And I mean, can you really blame Aleda for using what she learned? What she does later. And well, she's trying to connect with Aleda, telling her about Bill Strouser because Aleda's having trouble with him as an engineer. They're butting heads as engineers, and he's the boss though, and she needs to figure out how to work with him. And so Margot tells him about an embarrassing story, but she doesn't even tell her the whole story. She just tells her that Bill peed his pants, during a mission 20 years ago, and doesn't even actually include the part where he was actually saving the lives of the astronauts, which we have to wait until, I don't know if it's the end of this episode.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Or
I think it's one of these
the
two.
next episode.
Or maybe the one after that.
I think it's the next one.
Yeah, because she uses that to kind of like get back at him, and it's kind of still a sour point for him. And I think that whole stuff is handled pretty well. But yeah, when we get to the Karen and Danny thing, that's the thing that I think doesn't work.
I think it should have been Margot to apologize because she's the one who actually was spreading the story more and getting people, getting Aleda into using it. It was really kind of Margot's fault.
I mean, yeah, it is her fault for telling the story. I mean, but,
because he decides he wants to leave because he feels disrespected by his colleagues, not just Aleda, because he could probably get over some kid being rude to him, but the fact that his other coworkers disrespect him enough to tell that story to somebody new like that so quickly, that probably is what set him off.
Yeah, I think it was just she's the one that's Aleda. She was the one that ultimately pulled the trigger on it. I mean, she may have learned the story from Margot, but ultimately she's the one that put the nail in that coffin.
Yeah, and there's some history stuff, or some current events stuff happening here. What is in this show? What what even is this show? It looks dull, says Dalek451. This is, oh, hey, Dalek, welcome. We're talking about For All Mankind. We've discussed season 1, we've discussed season 2. It's all about an alternate history of the world in which Russians somehow make it to the moon before the United States. One of the points being is one of their chief engineers of the whole thing survived in this timeline where he died in the other, and we just saw him recently. So some of the reasonings for this alternate history is starting to come into place, and so because the space race never ended, because the Russians got to the moon first, the United States decided, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to continue the space race. We're going to have the first moon base, and they do, and everybody gets into less actual costly wars, so they have enough resources to do more things in space, and so that's what they're doing. And of course, what's the natural consequence is that they actually do bring war into space, which is what's going on. And it's, it's good to see you, Dalek. The backstory to the P incident is shown on the right stuff and from the Earth to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I need to see those.
From the
I
Earth to
still
the
need
Moon
to
is
see
pretty
those.
good. The Right Stuff's like my favorite movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. It's been referenced in the show, and it's been on my list like twice.
Yeah, it's a Philip Kaufman 3-hour epic, but it's great.
The Outcast Creative says, hello, Lance. 2 great episodes. We'll try and get on if I can. Gotta eat. Margot becomes very complicit in a ton of things from here on out. Hey, and Canadian Spider-Man, a movie with naval warships stall? I love ships, so not for me, I suppose. Yeah, the United States responded by dispatching warships from the 7th Fleet. Yes, in response to the Russians taking down a passage liner airplane, passage carrier. It's a show about an alternate reality on Earth. Oh, that's a lot quicker than what I said.
Well, you add a lot more of the flourishes that kind of might pique people's interest.
Yeah. Well, all the fun stuff could be explained pretty quickly. Because here, I mean, Larry is helping Ellen with her coffee, and you got to know the context that they're both gay, but they're just together to fool everyone into thinking they're straight because of the times not really being accepting of their lifestyles. But she's saying she's going to break up with him soon, but I don't know if that's going to happen now that all this other stuff is happening. Now that she's getting deeper and deeper into the politics of actually working for the White House, in which the cover of Larry would be quite useful.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're going to put missiles on the Pathfinder shuttle.
Yeah, in response to what they think is going on with Baran.
Yeah.
And then, this is not a political drama set in an alternate world. This is, that's just like a tiny aspect of it.
So D.
Yeah, the
Joddard
Beatles are still
says,
together.
the Beatles are still together in the 80s in this show. Oh, really?
Yeah. Because John Lennon, he escaped being killed.
Oh, he didn't get it assassinated, or I guess, is it called assassinated if it's a rock star? I don't know.
I think it still is, because I think if you're still like a notable person, they call it an assassination. Although I think it's also could be called a killing. But I mean, this timeline is kind of wild because you have John Lennon gets survives his assassination attempt, and then the Pope, John Paul II, he doesn't, and then Anwar Sadat, the president of Egypt, he also survives his assassination attempt, and so the whole like curve of the future is completely altered from the way the way any of us would have grown up with all the political leaders at the time and the influential rock stars.
All right. Well, there you go. And yeah, Larry wants her to actually use the actual power that she has to help move on to Mars. And then they have a meeting. So yay, meetings. What is the meeting about? To put the missiles on the Pathfinder. So they want to weaponize the Pathfinder, and they have to go to the simulator to test it out. And so it was actually her idea also to move up the mission to retake this lunar claim site that the Russians took. The US had it. Then the Russians moved in. They're like, everything belongs to everyone, and we are everyone, so this is ours. And then and now the Americans are going to take it back, take back their mining site on the moon.
Yeah.
And Ellen says, "Why wait? We can do it now. Let's do it now." And well, but Margot says, "But wait, the Marines aren't ready. They haven't been fully trained." But it's too late. Ellen has spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Politics is one of the most fascinating and complex human activity, looking at it from a cultural and anthropological perspective. That's why it's always been interesting to me. World events are fun. Yes, and in this case, that's the drama that's interesting in this show. So I'm not upset when there's drama scenes like this about the policies of putting missiles on spaceships or being able to fix defects that could potentially destroy everybody. So that's important stuff, and I'm glad that stuff's in the show. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movie says, "I'm usually a fan of alternate universe stories, but I just couldn't get into this one, probably because the real history of Space Race was so compelling." And that's fair enough. Thank you for dropping by with that perspective. And
There's a lot of what ifs in space that I think will always kind of like stir my imagination, and just the things they wanted to do versus the things that they actually got done is kind of amazing to me. And there's tons of opportunities to tell alternate space race stories.
yeah, that's
And,
true. That's what this show does a lot. They take a lot of plans that were on paper that engineers drew, and they actually make them into reality in the show. And so that's fun. Also fun, Mr. Lundell, I don't know if you got to the point to see that even though the Enterprise space shuttle was just a prototype, in this show they make it a fully fledged space shuttle that's actually used with the fleet in lots of missions and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen it actually in the show yet, but
And, I mean, not only that, they have I think an entire fleet of like 10 NASA space shuttles and like 2 or 3 Air Force space shuttles, which is way more than we had in real life.
That's okay if you skip the show, Dalek. You're here to listen to me talk about it, so that's good enough for me. Deej Odyssey says Mr. Lundell didn't like this when he found out the version of him in this alternate history. And the version of him in this alternate history likes chick flicks. Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, right. Instead of watching sci-fi, horror mysteries or whatever, he likes The Notebook.
Well, I think this series definitely gets more sci-fi as it goes along. Bases on the Moon will probably be in fiction until the end of time, and it's a very popular trope. But now Space 1999 is one of my favorites, and that's why I love this show so much. 'Cause it's kind of like seeing that come to fruition in a way that's a lot more realistic than the moon being blasted out of Earth orbit like had been portrayed in that show. But yeah.
Oh, you mean Space 1999 actually does get a reference in one of these two episodes today.
Yep.
So it's not,
Eagerly waiting for
they
that.
do make references to other TV shows. This show deserves an Aquila Soviet submarine converted to a spaceship. Red October in space, anyone?
There's actually somebody on Twitter who was suggesting that there be some sort of a like a hunt for Red October in space, but like two spacecraft kind of like hunting each other in like a cat and mouse game around
Oh.
Jupiter. That might be fun.
Well, wait, they haven't done that? Ronald D.
No.
Moore, get off your button. Write it.
Yep.
You got the perfect show to do that with.
Mhm.
And Mr. Londell says to Deej, "What are you talking about? You're confusing me with LDG." I said in the alternate history of this show, not here and now. Yeah. Well, that's where he was inspired. How he was inspired. And so here we're with Kelly, and she's got a big package because she's looking for her parents. She finds out her mother died in childbirth, but her dad's still alive. And so the whole episode, she's looking for her dad, and she eventually gets on the computer later on in the episode to ask somebody where he is or if you know who he is. And so she finds out that he's actually in America. He moved to America and is actually in not too far from her. And he's a cook at a restaurant, a Vietnamese restaurant. Very convenient. Oh.
No, it doesn't happen in this one. No, it is this one.
Yeah, it is. No, she's dancing and they kiss.
Yeah, that's what sets it off. Yeah. So
No,
the episode
Karen,
title
no.
is tied to that to the song that they
right. Right, the song that he was
sharing.
talking about. Well, because when he was a little boy, he caught her dancing, and he liked, and that's probably where he thought he fell in love with her. But oh my god, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, Danny.
Well, initially, if they would have just left it at this kiss, I could have maybe just let it go, because at least she left straightly after that to go be with her husband. If she should have stopped it sooner than that, but I was wrong to be hopeful that would be the end, because then I saw the next episode and it gets worse. It's really gross, and the context of their past is what makes it gross. You have to know that she basically raised him like a son, like he's like an analog. They should have a mother-son relationship, not.
Well, it's this Oedipal complex deal, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure it entirely works, but it's it does set up conflict for later, but it's I don't know. We'll get to those when we get to that.
But it's not even interesting. It doesn't even advance anything in a good way. There's nothing good about this. It's all bad. It's Oedipal,
well, I mean,
like you're saying, Oedipal and borderline P word.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is I don't think we're supposed to like either of them in this situation. And I think it definitely does pepper them both negatively. Although I definitely think as things go on, one of them is definitely worse than the other, but you'll have to see.
Well, Karen's the adult in this situation. She should be anyway. And okay, she does go home to her husband, who she should be with, but you know what she's thinking, and it's terrible. It's disgusting. Gross. Let's move on. Look, it's this moon base. Finally, we made it to the moon base. And that's okay, Dalek. You don't have to like this show. I'm just so happy you're here with me. And Dee says, Karen got some. That's true. She did. And then some. Yeah, I did have quite a few slides of them having sex, and we're just kind of talking through it. But yeah. Anyway, So this is Tracy. Okay, Tracy has been on the moon for a while. She kind of got into trouble last time. She was drinking on the moon, and she almost got sent home and grounded forever. But somehow she convinced the leader of the moon base to let her stay and give her another chance. And it looks like she's making up for it. And now she's even going to be helping with the Marine mission to retake the base because she's the only one who can pilot the LSAM the best out of everyone on the station. And the Marine that was supposed to learn how to do it didn't have enough time to train. So she's got to do it. This is good news. I was a little worried about where she was headed in the last episode, but I suppose the talk down with the leader of the moon base stabilized her somehow. And now she's taking this risk because they can't make her do it. She decides to do it, which I think is great. I'm sure the ulterior motive is that if she does this, people will take her more seriously and respect her more. But I still like where that's headed. At least somebody's doing something good in this episode. And they start humming the Ride of the Valkyrie, I guess.
Yeah, from Apocalypse Now. Yeah.
There you go.
Which I think would be something you would do.
And so they make it. They claim it's a pretty tenuous landing because they weren't expecting certain obstacles to be in their way, but she does a great job landing the LSAM.
Well, at this point, they don't fire a single shot. They just scare off the Soviet.
They don't have to. They don't have to. It's just basically we have guns. You don't have guns, and the Russians are like,
That's
"Oh
classic,
yeah, let's run, let's run."
Classic intimidation, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
At least until it doesn't. But it's good.
Yeah, I was wondering if the Russians were going to have some kind of AK-47s or something, but no such thing at this point.
Well,
they were unarmed, it seemed, and that's fine.
We'll see what kind of retaliation the Russians do.
Well, they have to have some kind because the U.S. sure F's up.
They took down the Soviet flag and put up the American.
Yeah, but you know what? They didn't have to take the flag out of the ground. It was just like whatever the base flag was, their flag fit into it perfectly.
Would have been
it was Reagan. It was Reagan. Apocalypse Now Valkyrie scene on the moon. Exactly. And so, Jeff Hefner as Sam Cleveland. Oh, yeah. Let me read the songs for this episode. Ride of the Valkyrie by Richard Wagner. Tracy and the Moon Marines hum while flying through the Moon Canyon. And then they also play I Fought the Law by The Clash when the U.S. Marines reclaim Site 357 Bravo. Introducing weapons to the moon. Guns on the moon. Follow. Then there was a song called Follow by Richie Havens when Kelly opens her adoption paperwork to see who her birth parents are. So far, she's not told her adoptive parents about her looking for her real parents.
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't trust them to support her or something. I don't understand why she's keeping it to herself, but I guess she wants to discover it on her own. And
I think that's the implication.
Then Don't Be Cruel by Billy Swan is the song that Danny plays for Karen while they're one of the cringiest scenes ever to play on the television is enacted.
Oh, there's way worse out there.
Oh yeah, it's in the next episode. Greek Letter says that's a sci-fi show, folks. In real life, You just cannot intimidate Russians. That's true. That's true. At least they wouldn't
Well,
have run away. You can intimidate them, but they would have strolled away very slowly. They would not have gone as quickly as they did, I don't think. I bet the Russian base was overstocked with vodka. Oh, hey, did it say that LDG is here? Rest in peace, James Jaron. Yes, rest in peace to James Jaron, who I'm sure, among many other roles, and being a musician, of course, being a Star Trek fan, I know him as Vic Fontaine from Deep Space Nine.
yeah.
Rest in peace. Definitely.
I know him as that, and
Losing so
his
many.
character from Time Tunnel.
Thank you. Time Tunnel. I was hoping somebody would mention some other things he was in.
Yeah. That was much earlier in his career, of course, but still.
I don't stalk. I am everywhere, says LDG. DJ Odyssey says, dang it, LDG is stalking me again. And then he says, Gidget. And then we're on to the second episode. We're making good time here. And here's to you, episode 8. Aired on April 9th, 2021. Okay, and this one was written by Ronald D. Moore and directed by Denny Gordon. So same director, different writer. So we got the writer of the actual series for this one. And so let's get into it. And good morning to DJ Play Nice and Mega Cropper says, the guns of Neverune. Rest in peace.
I guess she was in there.
Oh, thank you for giving me more. If anybody knows any more of his career, let me know.
Yeah, I think they had him on one of those podcasts that Dominic Keating and Connor Trinneer does, like not more than like a year ago.
Okay, they started something called the Shuttle Pod Show, but now I know they changed it to something else.
Well,
I haven't been
yeah,
following.
I think the Shuttle Pod podcast, I think, is Shuttle Pod 1 or something. It's done now.
But don't.
I guess it was some
Apparently,
issue.
okay. So also rest in peace, Bird of Prey 5. Bird told me not to call it a podcast. They don't like for them to be called a podcast. I guess because they have they have cameras and they have like a more of a TV show, and so they don't like being called a podcast. This is a podcast because I'm not on camera and I don't have a studio, except for it's my home office.
Yeah, basically the same for me. But no, I think the next show they're doing, that they have been doing, is called the Decon Chamber. And I've been checking that out periodically.
Wow, that one sounds sexier. So the next, so as this episode starts, the claim has been taken by the Moon Marines, and so everybody's celebrating at this point that their good luck that the Russians just strolled away.
And they'll never come back again.
Yeah, and they won't bother us again. Everything will be fine. And look, Reagan is so super happy with his deepfake, video here. And he just basically hires her as NASA administrator for the government. And you'd think she'd accept it pretty quickly, but she actually intends on rejecting it. This is where we're going to have that scene with Pam that I talked about already. So when the scene comes up, we can skip it. Yay. I sent the wrong link to the Outcast Creative. Oh no. If anybody seen these episodes and wants to discuss them, just let me know and I will send you a link. Let me get the right link.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
There it is. Give that one a try. That one should work. Not Moon Marines, Jill. It's Space Marines. Oh, okay.
Well,
thank you. Thank you, Greek letters. the birthplace of Adeptus Astratus. Ronald Reagan.
Warhammer, I think?
Blackburn, and welcome to Lance from the Outcast Creative to
Yep.
our For All Mankind live stream. We finished discussing episode 7. Don't be cruel, and here's we're now discussing episode 8. And here's to you.
Hey, Lance.
Hey,
I
good
didn't.
good to be on. You've got me for about. I've just put my food in the oven, so you got me for about 20-25 minutes.
Oh wow.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Well, that's incredible.
'Cause
Well,
I thought if I waited until after I'd eaten, it would be too late for me to come on. So
yeah, you would need to start doing other things. That makes sense. Well, thank you for sharing whatever time you do have with us.
I was just it's interesting that there's a discussion about the show, whether it's for people or not. Season 2 is really where the show really gets quite action orientated, especially for, I'd say, 4 or 5 episodes. Up until then, it's very much a kind of alternative timeline, historical fiction reality of what might have happened had the Russians done certain things first that would have forced the Americans to do certain things. But I feel like the depiction, one of the things I really love about this show, and that's very poignant with this episode, is I like the depiction of combat in space, and how it would actually be, and how actually quite difficult it is. And I think it's worth people giving it a go. It's nothing like Space 1999, which somebody mentioned in the chat, although I do love Space 1999. But
I think he was just saying what he prefers to watch.
no, yeah, and I this is a very different.
Even though he
tonally,
hasn't actually watched the show, but he's just gauging it based on what I'm saying about it, and basically, I guess I'm doing a poor job of selling it.
I think season 1
I mean,
as
you're
well
not gonna.
can mislead people a bit with this show, because each season of this show is very different, and it really builds it so it is worth. It's like, as I do tell people, it's worth investing their time. But I understand it's there's so much content out there, people have got to make choices. So
yeah, that's true. I'm okay with that.
People have their own
Alex's
taste,
choice.
and you gotta deal with that.
Deech says he's just here on a lunch break. He has to head back out to work shortly. Oh, well, I'm glad you spent some time here with us. Thank you, Deej. Canadian Spider-Man says, good to see you, eh? To DJ Play Nice. Reagan. I vote for TNG or DS9 review after this Apple exclusive. Well, actually, my TNG and Deep Space Nine reviews go on Fridays. They're going to be out of order, and I'm just going to pick episodes at random because that's the way I'm going to do it. And on Tuesdays after For All Mankind, I'm heading into the Twilight Zone. No, don't be sorry about having an opinion, Dalek. You're totally allowed.
No. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to subject your opinion in any way. I was just trying to give you maybe a wider perspective on what the show might offer you down the road, as opposed.
Yeah,
to
it isn't just a moon base. That's just where the sci-fi starts.
Yeah. There's this sci-fi light as well, so it may not be for everybody, but it took me a while to get into this show, but I'm really glad that I did, and I rewatched it and picked up on a lot of stuff that I missed when I saw it the second time. So
oh yeah, that's actually what I intend on doing, is watching it twice over, because putting it all together will make it more interesting, because it's all one story, and so the beginning and middle and end will feel a lot more tighter once you actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
Star Trek Friday sounds like a winner. Yeah, exactly. Well, this Friday, Mega Cropper, we're going to discuss the TNG episode Relics, because
that's a good episode.
Yeah, and it's
a
Canadian.
Great episode.
It's Canadian Star Trek Day, which means it's the day that the very first Star Trek episode aired in Canada, and so we're going to discuss Relics. And of course, Scotty Montgomery Scott is played by James Doohan, who is Canadian. So I think it works pretty well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a show on my own podcast on Friday about the 58th anniversary of Star Trek.
That's right.
That whole weekend. So.
You got it. I look for all mankind as the beginning of the mirror universe light. Hey. Well, there you go. See, where am I? And so she's considering being the NASA administrator for Reagan. Not making her decision quite yet here. In either of these in this entire episode, she kind of acts like she's going to blow it off, but I kind of feel like she's not. Oh, what is this? Columbia is on the pad. Oh, right. Gordo's going to back to the moon. And everybody's going to welcome him home. Or welcome him back to the moon. Rather, not home. And Columbia's going to take off. Canadian Spider-Man loves Space 1999, which does make a reference in this episode. I'll show you where it is when we get to it. And Gordon has completely figured out his psychological issues. He knows why, and he does reveal pretty soon to Tracy directly what cured him of his fears, why he hallucinated, why he wanted to take off his helmet on the moon. In the first season, we figured out what caused his issues, and he basically seems a lot more relaxed and secure than he's ever been. Although he still hasn't run into the ants on the space station in either of these episodes either. Kind of what triggered him last time. And the flight, the spaceship makes it to space without incident. You always wonder what's going to happen with that because tragedies can happen. Danny Gordon directs this one.
I do like these
And
opening credits.
yeah, they are pretty
For this
good.
show. They're kind of cool. You know, everyone's trying to do cool opening credits now, but I think the credits for this are really nice.
Mm. Yeah, they are nice. And Molly Cobb is told she's got normal tension glaucoma, and she's asking about how the radiation could have done if the radiation could be a part of it. But the doctor kind of blows that off a bit and just says, you're just going to gradually lose your vision. You're going to go blind.
Mm.
And today we still don't have a cure for glaucoma, but if it's caught early enough, the progressive damage can be stopped and further deterioration of vision can be halted. But they haven't gotten quite that far with that medicine for Molly. All they can do is slow it down. But she's still going to go blind either way.
Molly Cobb's one of my favorite characters in this show. Certainly one of my favorite female characters in the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate her candor. Hey, she doesn't hold back. She's truthful.
Yeah, like
Whether or not anybody
no
cares.
bullshit, kind of thing going on with her. It's just really endearing.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's a rebel in the best kind of ways, and she's the hero. And she doesn't want any credit for it. Movie? Oh. Okay, so let's see. Breakaway and War Games being the one edited together. Oh, the Space 1999 movies. Gotcha.
Yeah.
DJ Play Nice says it's one of the only things I can remember watching with my father. I had a plastic model of one of the ships and flew it on missions every day. Oh, that's sweet. Deej says, "Hi, Bob." Hi, Bob.
That's what we got to say. Hi, Bob.
Mm-hmm. And Fleet Admiral Levi's here. Hey, that's you. I need to get my hands on that Space 1999 movie. Nice. And so, because of this news of her impending blindness, Molly basically flies all the way to the stratosphere at a high speed. She's cursing her bad luck, or rather, her bad luck in because she saved She saves that guy on the moon. What was his name? Woobo. She saved him
Yeah.
from death. But she also cursed herself with extra radiation that she would not have gotten if she hadn't saved him. And so this is the repercussions of that, probably, most likely. I don't think they actually say cancer here, but I'm expecting that pretty soon. That seems pretty obvious.
My lips are sealed.
And so as she
Me too.
reaches space, she doesn't quite go into orbit, luckily, but I'm surprised she didn't just pass out.
I actually thought that was going to happen in this sequence. I actually thought this might be
I thought it was her
this
end.
character's about to die. We're getting near the end of season 2, you know. Yeah, I kind of thought this might be a see you later moment, but
Yeah, look at that. Look how high up she is. How does that work? I'm surprised, the plane didn't just give out. I don't know that much about airplanes, but it's pretty incredible aircraft.
If you've seen the sequel to Top Gun, which we will all know, of course, is very historically accurate, there's a similar sequence at the beginning of that with Tom Cruise testing out the latest.
Oh, well, fair
plane.
enough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That is fun, though. I do like Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, it's a good film. Yeah. Damn,
That's
I got
great.
chills watching that film. It's good. It's good.
You've all lost me. There is no Space 1999 movie. Space 1999 movie.
Well, technically yes, and technically no.
I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of those, right, Lance?
Yeah,
Like, edited together?
what they did was Channel 5, who owned the rights to Space 1999 in the 1980s when video sell-through was just becoming a thing. Video stores were looking for absolutely anything to rent because there wasn't enough videos. So they cottoned onto this, and what they did was they re-edited 2 episodes of Space 1999 into a movie with new titles. I actually have it, mate. It's called Alien Attack, and they packaged it up like a feature film. And it's breakaway edited with war games. It's actually got some new footage in it as well that they just did.
Yeah, it's for the Lunar Commission, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Lunar Commission footage. There you go. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and and that's and they edited it as a feature film. And then they brought out a second one, which was the 2-parter from season 2, The Bringers of Wonder, which are the only 2 good episodes of season 2, in my opinion.
That's probably right.
Yeah, because if you look on the shelf behind me, I've got 2 Eagles, so I'm a huge Space 1999 season 1 fan.
Yeah, I think most people are.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like Tony, so that, it's a mixed
bag.
I
mean, there were some things about season 2 that could have been good. The producer Fred Freiberger not being one of them, basically.
Oh no!
Yeah, he came in and he killed it.
Yeah, he ruined our show.
Yeah.
He didn't just bother Star Trek.
No, he came over to the UK and did the same to us as well. So
yeah.
Oh man,
but
DJ Odyssey, I'm so glad you're here today. Have a great day, he says, heading back to work. Yeah, you too.
But I mean, Dalek, you're right as well in the sense that it's not an official feature film. And yes, they did do the same thing with Stingray, Thunderbirds, and Captain Scarlet. But some people saw Space 1999 on that video cassette for the first time, so they thought it was a movie, It actually worked quite well as a movie, but of course it's not technically.
I wish they would do that to All Good Things. That would be the best TNG movie.
Yeah, actually, I'd go and see that at the cinema if they, maybe reformatted it and whatnot, did a few tweaks. I'd pay to see that on the big screen.
Greek Letter says apparently space is dangerous. Some get glaucoma, some get blown up in the airlock, some get chest burster xenomorphs. Stick to Earth, people.
Yeah.
Well, if any of you have seen well, if any of you seen Alien, definitely space is not made for humans.
No.
Okay, right. They did the same thing with Stingray, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet.
Yeah. I've got some of those as well. I've got the original video covers still, even if I haven't got the tapes.
Those are all Jerry Anderson, right?
Yeah, yeah. I met
Yeah.
him 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Because my
Crazy.
one of my best friends was the visual effects supervisor on Space Precinct, so I got to go
Okay.
to Shepperton Film Studios and see all the sets and all of that kind of thing. Oh, Margot.
That's out of this world. Yeah. Okay. They're putting missiles on the Pathfinder, so they've got to test it in the simulator. And
Yeah.
with the radar and all the range and all of they've got a lot of nice technical language that sounds really official. And
Margot's got such an amazing arc in this show, but I mean,
Mhm.
it's a character that you're gonna love to hate eventually, I think. But
oh no, I love to love her right now.
I mean,
Darn.
she's always kind of like so sure she's right, and then doesn't really take responsibility for her actions when she's not.
I
Yeah.
see some vague hints of that here, but it's not so bad. It's just
I don't know. I don't think you'll
You're
hate her,
Margot-
but
only
you'll
on season
definitely.
2.
Margot spilling the tea about Bill peeing his pants is kind of rude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that scene in The Right Stuff earlier. I think that's with Scott Glenn, isn't it? Permission to relieve bladder, Houston.
Yeah, I think
He
that's it.
actually said that.
Well, maybe it's not just the astronauts who needed to be wearing diapers.
Well, indeed.
So, and I just want to agree, Retro Nerd Girl is the best.
Yeah, she's wicked. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to her channel, check it out. Amazing content. She's been on my channel quite a few times, and I think she's been here as well. She's been here.
She has.
Yeah, yeah.
She in fact, she will be here next week.
Oh.
Welcome back, Gordo. Everybody's happy to see Gordo.
Yeah, he's got a good arc in this show as well.
He does.
Yeah.
I really like him now. He was kind of a jerk last season, but
he really grows, which is good.
Mm.
Without it feeling forced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see, where are we? Yes, right. All this time, okay, there's one quote. All that time in this one room. I mean, I would probably just go out of my gourd. And that's what Nick says to Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Nick doesn't really know what happened, obviously. Nobody does to Gordo. So he kind of just wants him to shut up.
I'm just going to check my food's not burning. I'll be right back.
Oh, no, you don't want that to happen. Please go.
Definitely not.
So Gordo gets a new bunk, which is right next to Tracy's because there isn't much room. There's not too much room on the space station. So they've got to use the space that they've got.
Yeah. Which is a pretty good excuse to have them, be basically across the way from each other.
Yeah. And then there's a jump scare in this episode, and it's not a xenomorph. It's Tracy.
Right.
No, what else would you call that? He's just chilling in his little bed, and then she just accosts him. And Elena's trying to talk to Bill, but Bill is pretty set in his ways and how he wants to run things, and she's trying to shake things up. And when he's not receptive to her, she calls him out on being Peanut, because that was the nickname he got after he peed his pants during a mission, while he was in control.
Yeah.
And of course he's shocked that she knows that story.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly tries to meet her dad, but instead what she finds is her sister. She meets her sister. Yeah. She doesn't tell her that she's her sister. She just meets her, and her sister tells her what food to get. We don't even know her name yet, but she knows what people should eat if they haven't eaten Vietnamese yet.
Mhm.
And it's some cute sitcom-y kind of stuff, and it's nice.
Yeah.
And so she sees her dad, but she doesn't say anything to him. And so we got to wait for that actual meeting and see what happens from that. 'Cause, you would think when he saw her, he would recognize her instantly because she looks just like her mother in that picture. But oh well. Greek letter says, imagine working somewhere and you dislike a certain person, but due to limited space, you bump into him 1,000 times a day.
Mhm. Pretty
Mm.
much.
Yeah, working on the moon would kind of suck if there were 6 of you and you didn't get on with 2 of the other 6 people, you know.
Oh, definitely.
I
Then
would definitely
okay,
not
so
want
there,
to be on the early moon base.
Well, there's those 2
right.
people that are stuck in space right now. They couldn't come back, could they? Because and that's very
They still
reminiscent of the
can't.
kind of problems that happen in this show, actually, when you think about it.
Mhm.
We've mentioned it almost every broadcast.
Oh, well, sorry if I'm treading over
No,
old
that's
ground.
okay. No, you should. No, but but I'm
I
glad you
that's what,
reminded me.
yeah,
You're
it's
going to be
something
up there
to
until
do.
we're done with doing the reviews.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, hey, they might be watching this right now. You never know.
Oh,
Maybe.
What
well,
else is
yeah,
there to do up
I
there?
hope they have better they have more to watch than the same episode, the same few episodes over and over again. So
And they have the Bob
hopefully they
Newhart show up there
actually,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. But also, I'm glad you mentioned it because there is some news on that front. I forget exactly what it is, but they hear something that doesn't sound good inside the ship, but they don't know what it is yet. They're trying to figure it out.
Is that on the
They're
International Space Station or on the ship?
it might be
It's
on
on
the
the
ship
Starliner.
itself. They're saying it's
It's
on
on
the
the
ship
Starliner.
itself.
Yeah.
And so they don't know what the sound is. They can hear it, but they don't know what it is.
Aliens.
So they've got aliens, right? Aliens, of course. It's just aliens. When you don't know what it is, it's aliens.
Mhm. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
But oh, really, it's just a shame that someone that with all the technology we do have for space travel, that we can't get a passenger ship up there to bring them home right
Well, I
now.
mean, it's a lot of political stuff too, because I
Disappointing.
mean, like SpaceX doesn't want to help another rival company, and then this guy now they have to do it
Wait,
anyway, and it's just like,
did SpaceX say no? Did they ask SpaceX and they refused?
well, I
Did
mean,
that
once they
happen?
asked,
Can you send me
I
that
think
article?
they said, but they weren't like volunteering themselves to help, so
They
Well,
weren't.
they
They
didn't go
weren't.
out of their way for it.
you don't have because you do not ask.
Man, that I just think I think the space programs worldwide should be talking to each other about. You'd think the astronaut community were all like, how can we sort this out?
Well, I
You know,
mean,
Yeah,
that's what
the
I'd like
Apollo
exactly.
to see.
Soyuz thing in real life. I mean, they built a docking port for Soyuz and Apollo spaceships so that they could, have a universal docking mechanism so that any international space agency or even private can dock to anybody as part of a rescue. But for whatever reason, um, that's just not become a thing more frequently. I mean, like this situation, why couldn't we, reach out to the Chinese to even help us if we had to? Because the docking mechanisms are similar. But there's a whole political thing with that. We can't do that because then they'll have access to this or that, and it's just ridiculous.
Hopefully those astronauts can be saved sooner rather than later. It's too bad that we can't work together with other astronauts from other nations, with Russia or with our very own nation with SpaceX. It's something that I thought that they said they were going to do it, but they have to wait until next year before they can help. But yeah, it
Yeah, I
would
think
be
they
a lot
said there's a
faster.
flight in 2025 for that.
Yeah, Raul Julia says they could ask the Russians for help. Yeah, they could. I wish they would. It would be a really nice gesture and really, really humble for us to ask, and really good of them to reciprocate. It would be nice to see something hopeful in the world, even if it's just in space. it would send a huge message around the world that why are we fighting? Come on, stop being crazy, and stop
Mhm.
killing people. Canadian Spider-Man says, well, that and the fact that most of the Chinese stuff doesn't actually work. It doesn't. I don't know. I haven't really looked that much into Chinese
I
space
mean,
travel, but
Chinese stuff, I think, is mostly based on American
Mhm.
tech and mostly Russian technology because I believe the
right.
Shinzo spacecraft they have is basically just based on Soyuz design, and it's kind of like not that well renditioned. So,
So, but getting back to the show, we've got
yes.
Pathfinder, and they're testing the missiles, and it's successful. And
Look at that
Sally's
set. Isn't that fantastic production
it's
design?
it is it's
It's amazing.
beautiful, but
Incredible.
Sally isn't so happy with being able to use missiles on the spaceship. So she just doesn't look happy about it. And this was the jump scare.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Like the
And
rocket blowing up on the platform.
Almost.
basically. And the Marines have a respect for her flying skills, and she's basically part of the crew now.
Yeah.
She wasn't fitting in at first. People were kind of hazing her, putting Barbie dolls of astronauts in her bed and stuff. But now they're not doing that.
It's good to see this has got 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. From 73,000 ratings, which is very high for a television show. And
It
there's
is. It is.
779 user reviews, which means people have actually taken the time to review it. I think that says a lot about it.
I think it says a lot about it that even though it makes me mad, I wanted to go see the next 2 episodes anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna be binge watching this, Jill. Trust me.
Well,
So
hopefully Lance
Molly's
sticks around for what happens.
Mom,
Molly's
where's
drinking a
dinner? I
beer.
need to watch the next 2 episodes.
Oh. Huh? Oh, right. I'm supposed to be cooking.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. I gotta feed my family sometimes. They insist on eating every day. So
Who knew?
So Molly is her eyesight is deteriorating so badly that she can't even see her husband, Wayne, walking up to her. And he's cut his hair. But besides that. He says she's been acting weird, and she finally tells him what's going on with her with the saving Wubbo, what I mentioned earlier, and how that all that extra radiation has contributed to her loss of eyesight. And now at least he understands. And there's some stuff on the TV. There's like actually some military conflicts on TV that are happening.
Yeah.
Like, there's something with Panama, more stuff with the Panama.
It's always sort of in the background. You get like little nuggets about what's happening around the rest of the world as a result of these ripples within the main narrative, which is always great.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the other thing on the TV was something about a nuclear weapon of something, and then yeah, something. And Gordo sees this. I thought when he saw this he'd destroy it, but he's able to control himself and doesn't do that. And actually, nobody else catches Tracy smoking cigarettes in the airlock except for Gordo. And he straight up tells her, yeah, I'm getting you back. And she's like, go ahead and try and catch me and all that. And even that he told the same thing to Sam. So he's speaking up for himself lately. And that's really neat. I don't know. It's a good mature conversation. I liked it.
Oh yeah, the dialogue in the show is first class. I love it.
Yeah,
Great
that's pretty
writing
good.
all around, really.
Yeah, he tells her the truth finally that Danielle broke
About
her
the
arm on
arm?
purpose. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that he's always hidden, even from her. I thought eventually he would have told her, but I guess not.
Mhm.
And oh, Kimberly just binge watched the entire thing, so that's pretty much that.
Hmm.
That's how good this show is.
Oh
That
wow,
she
Way
watched it
ahead of
all.
me.
she's already on Mars, you know.
Mm.
So
Oh.
So, can't say much more.
Yeah, he even apologizes for how he was in season 1.
Well, that's the interesting thing, though, about this smoking in space scenario. 'Cause it's like, from what I've been told, it's supposed to be like 100% oxygen. So wouldn't that not be good?
yeah, I don't know how that works.
That's what I asked too, but I guess there's a magic in the airlock.
It must not be 100% oxygen. My thing.
If you check the For All Mankind Technobollocks manual, there'll be a reason in there somewhere.
Yeah, I need to buy that then.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a reason
Already
why
have the
it's not
Space
very
1999
close.
one.
There's no smoking on the bridge. So Margot is working with Sergey.
Oh shit, my dinner. Sorry. Let me rush to the kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah, don't burn it.
yeah, definitely not. Oop.
If you gotta go, you gotta go. It's fine.
But see how that's what the show does to us. It draws us in.
It sure does. And so they're trying to figure out, there's a technical problem with the handshake, because if they handshake exactly the way they're supposed to, if they do it so that they're even, so neither one is either the host or the visitor, because they want to be on even ground. If they do it that way, nobody can see them on the cameras. The cameras aren't set up the right way, I guess. I don't know. So so they have to
They
decide
wanna,
who's going to be the host. So they decide they're going to flip. They got to flip for it, but but their garments get caught in the the tube, and then it's like a little bit awkward. It's almost kind of like they're trying to set up a romantic thing or something. But you already told me who he's going for, so that kind of ruins any kind of like care about that.
well,
This is a lot better than Danny and Karen, so
Well,
it's
I mean-
a shame they ignore that.
I think the thing with Sergey and Margot is a lot more, palatable than the Danny versus Karen thing.
Absolutely. Well, it's professional, but the only problem is, there might be security vulnerabilities there.
Yeah, but it doesn't really seem like either of them. I mean, they're literally, like I mentioned before. They're there for the science, for making sure that lives, the preservation of lives, is the utmost importance.
Hmm.
But America and Soviet Union, the governments don't see it that way, and so that it's fuel for drama.
It is. So it is. Greek letter says I'm a heavy smoker, but I wouldn't dare light up a cigarette right next to the airlock, and that's why I don't go to space. I gotta have a smoke.
There's a anime and a manga called Planetes, and there's a whole character who's like loves to smoke in space, but she has like a thing called a smoker seat. So she has to it's like a box, and you have to it's like a phone booth, and you're basically smoking inside it, so you don't affect anything else outside in the rest of the spaceship. It's quite
Oh,
inventive.
that's interesting. That would be more interesting if she would have done something like that. And besides just blowing it out of the event.
Mm-hmm.
Canadian Spider-Man says, no smoking on the bridge. Flaming torches on Klingon ships is perfectly okay, though, right? Dang. Yeah, right. Well, that's why I don't talk a whole lot about Star Trek Discovery. It's not Star Trek. Kimberly Ann Hart says smoking is not healthy for you. It's true, it's not. But neither is, being in space with all that radiation. So I guess Tracy is making her
Flaming torches on a
decisions.
Klingon ship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Star Trek Discovery. They had torches. And in Strange New Worlds, Captain Pike has a fireplace in his quarters. I don't even.
Guess
I'm
I'll have
not
to
even.
notice later.
It's such a torrent of awful.
mean,
but we're here to
with Star
enjoy
Trek-
something that's way better.
Well, I mean, the Star Trek ships have a problem of having sparks, and that probably shouldn't happen. But anyway,
Yeah, that too.
So-
But that's tradition.
Well,
That's
I
different.
guess by now. But yeah, so right here you have Margot and Alita.
Yes, Margot and Alita. What are they doing? Oh, they're talking about how Bill Strausser has quit, and Alita is the cause of it. Even though Margot was the one who told her that story, Margot's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have told you that story. You should not have told him that story." And because you're telling that story to somebody who is not good with people, and she told that to somebody who is also not good with people, and they're both just socially inadequate. So and I can say that because I am myself. So so you put that together with that story. What did you think was going to happen, Marco?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
so she tasks Alita to get Bill back, otherwise she's done.
Mhm.
So that's her
I'm
job.
back. My dinner was salvaged.
You're back in
it's
time.
not. It didn't burn.
Well, it's. Let's just say it's very well done, but it's not burnt.
Oh, sorry.
I'll mute myself.
As long as it's edible, that's what's important.
Yeah, it's edible. It's edible, Jill. Don't worry.
Okay, so here's the Space 1999 reference. Real
The
com
comm lock.
lock.
Oh yeah.
He says it's real.
Yeah. That funny enough, actually, bit of trivia for you. The same with Blake 7 was the props for Space 1999, the comlocks and the sort of guns that they had, and on Blake 7 the teleport bracelets between seasons they all went like missing, and it's because people were nicking them basically, and they knew they would be worth money. Yeah, so they were nicking them. People on the production were stealing them, so the props team would come sort of back for the next season, open the cupboard. There's like loads of stuff missing. What's happened here? Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you want something from the show, you can't ask for permission. You just take it.
Well, yeah.
But it sounds like they took too much, though. It sounds like you should just pick one thing if you worked on the show. But it sounds like too many people are taking stuff.
Yeah, it was a bit too much of that happening.
Yeah,
well, and this whole scene is just about him actually telling the story about having peed himself, which was during the Gemini mission.
Yeah, I think a lot of these little references to science fiction and space history kind of somewhat ingratiate Bill to her, but he's just, it's like kid is just coming in, invading his space, and made a fool of him. So he's acting exactly how somebody should act.
Mm-hmm. Oh shoot! I messed it up. I wasn't trying to mess it up. Ugh, where is this? Where is it? Here it is. I was trying to find something. Oh no, I'm actually playing the episode. I didn't mean to do that. Where did that come from?
No.
That's all right.
Copyright strike warning. Danger.
Danger. I Okay, let me find it. I got it somewhere here. Here we are. Sorry about that, guys. Where I've left off. There we are.
Mhm.
That's safer.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the dialogue because the dialogue says it better than I can. Okay, so he's upset that she hasn't been at NASA for more than a month, and she already knows this story, but all she knows is the peeing part. She doesn't know the actual actually why any of that happened, which is why it was important. Why it was there's a lot there's a lot more respect to be had if you actually know what happened. It's kind of like that sitcom kind of thing, is where it seems like one story until someone actually fills in the blanks. So it was March 16th, 1966, Gemini 8. Neil Armstrong and David Scott were tumbling and spinning in orbit and nearly blacked out. And so if you black out, it's over. And so then Bill says, "Now I'm on the console, about to go off duty, and yeah, I had to pee." And suddenly Neil is saying he's lost control of the spacecraft, and it's getting worse. And we might lose 2 of the first Americans in space. So I stayed at my post, even after Neil regained control. We didn't know how badly damaged the capsule was. So I stayed with everyone, waiting and watching and hoping and praying. You know, they had to re-enter over China. We don't have any tracking stations in China. So when we lost their signal, it wasn't for a few minutes, it was an hour. Until an Air Force pilot saw their chutes deploy over Okinawa. We got the word that they splashed down and they were okay. We jumped up, we cheered. It was the first time I'd ever been part of a moment like that, and I'm standing there cheering, and Frank Bedlow looks at me and says, "Bill, did you pee your pants?" And people are still talking about it 20 years later. And so they missed the part where he was actually saving lives. Anyway, and he's upset. I guess he's just upset at the lack of respect that he thinks that his colleagues have for him, and so he's left. And I don't know, for some reason, a lady starts talking about the fact that she has shrapnel in her arm and she can't wear tank tops, and supposedly that has something to do with this story.
Well, I think she's
And that's
trying to
her
relate to
shame.
him and try to,
Yeah, but her shame is internal though. Internal, like, I don't know, like nobody's harassing her about it. I mean, it is. I think it just feels kind of like she was trying to one up him or something. I know she was trying to relate with him, I guess. And
I mean, I
it
guess
does suck.
that's
It does
one.
suck that she was. It does suck that she was. She was homeless and she had to eat out of trash cans and everything. So she's ashamed of that. And so the parallel is that that's her shame, and so she's sorry for bringing up his shame. So I guess she's trying.
Mhm.
And I don't normally come on any channel and my dinner is on the go, but for Jill, I am always here. That means a lot. Thank you, man. Please enjoy your dinner. I'm doing all right. You're stinking up the neighborhood. Get a job. Oh, right. So she's talking about how someone shot her because she was eating from his garbage at the restaurant, and so she got shot. And so I guess she reveals this story to try to relate with him. And I guess it works. She apologizes for making him feel his shame. And they watch Jeopardy. So we briefly get to see Alex Trebek. That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm just muted while I'm eating, but I am listening.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very good. And you also say, yeah, that's because they thought they might end on season 4, so they hadn't contracted actors for 2024 filming. Oh.
Well, I mean, they said back on like the first day of Comic-Con that they just started filming season 5. So they said it was going to be like 6 months of filming and then post production and all that. So
Yeah, it
I
was
would say
touch and
sometime
go
next
whether
spring.
they would. It was touch and go whether they were going to get season 5. It went back and forth, like
Mhm.
between execs, like several times because people were worried it was going to be too expensive and all of that. So it the shooting started late, but
Mhm.
the actors were all so keen to do it that everybody just signed up straight away. Just to give you a
Yeah.
bit of inside goss on all of that.
That's good news. Because I'll probably need more. So
Well, I think that means
I
that
don't
if they
really,
want to cut costs, they're going to stay on the one set for the entire time. So that's going to be interesting.
later, I just want to get back to the episode and then we can discuss
Mhm.
all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't really dislike what Aleda does here, even though I did complain a little bit about it. It does follow with her character. It makes sense. And she just doesn't trust people, and when you grow up like that, she was just still a kid, so it makes sense. And that's fine. She burns, that's just what she does. She burns bridges with people before they can get close to her because she doesn't want to get burned herself.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I guess, but she does like to set things on fire, so I guess that relates to that a little bit.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's all right.
No.
This is not all right. This is not all right.
Mm-hmm.
At first, she says it never happened and it was nothing, and then she's like, "Yep, okay, let's do it." And I'm like, I cursed when I saw this happening. It was telegraphed to me. I knew it was going to happen, but I was hoping against
Mm-hmm.
hope that I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much that Karen's having an affair. This is a drama show, mostly, after all, so you expect stuff like that. But I think it's completely vile to have one with someone you helped raise when they were a little kid. How gross is that? How many times did she change his diaper? She was basically a mother figure to him, and then this happens. I can't
Yeah.
believe this show tricked me into liking Karen, and now she does this.
But like I said, it's that Oedipal complex thing that if you don't do it well enough, can lead to problems.
I don't know if you could do this well, but I do like the Fallout sign. But that's about all I like about the scene. And then I didn't get that many screenshots of this one like I did with Ed earlier.
I mean, it's like a cut because we don't really see them do anything. It's all like done off screen.
Oh, but it's enough to see him stroking her leg. Oh, stop it.
Hmm. So I mean,
It's really awful. It's not good.
my only problem with this is a thematic. I mean, there's more than that, but there's a major problem with this that I think extends beyond just the issue of the Oedipal complex and all that. Because I think there's something.
Also, it's
We'll get
just
to that,
soap opera garbage that doesn't belong in my space show.
Well, it's a drama first.
Yeah, but it should be related to something. Oh, sure, she talks about selling the outpost, which she doesn't consult Ed on. So all she's doing is driving her character. The writer just driving her character straight into the ground, and not in a good way. Like with Margot, it's kind of fun seeing her have these moral dilemmas where she decides one thing or another, and it's kind of fun. But this is just despicable.
It's definitely not a moment that I think resonates as well as I think they'd hoped. But
Was it supposed to? They did two. They named 2 episodes after it, so you're right. Somebody thought they were doing a good thing.
yeah, the other
And
thing I wanted to
Tracy.
say comes in the season finale. So
Mhm. Yeah. So this is the episode, the end of the episode. The Moon Marine Sea Movement. They think they're Russians, and they're cosmonauts. They're working on something. They're unarmed. They're completely unarmed, which is very important to know for this scene. He orders them he orders them to tell the Russians to leave, but I don't know what happens with that. Like, did the communication not come through? And then what happens is there's a lack of communication. So when the Russians move towards the box, the Space Marines shoot at them because they think that they have a weapon in there, but it's really just a little tiny piece of paper saying, how to communicate. But here's my problem with this. I don't like that they made US make the mistake of firing first. That really, really sucks, because they should have known that Russians might have communication issues. Why do they assume there's weapons in it? It just feels like a guided attempt to make military look bad. And I know they have to be careful, but they should realize their orders might not have been clear. But also it makes the Russians look stupid for making sudden movements towards a case that might contain, like, they know the logic of the situation, what it looks like they're doing, even if they don't understand each other's language. And I don't know. I was hoping for more hope in my Ronald D space show, which is why I need to see the second episode.
well, I mean, I don't
It's
know if
just
it's incompetence or not, but I think it's definitely the fact that the trigger happy attitude of some of them, kind of, because they're not obviously trained in like de-escalating a situation. So the situation was going to escalate, especially
Mhm.
once they brought firearms onto the moon. I think that's the lesson we're supposed to draw from this. But
we're supposed to draw that you can't have weapons as a defensive measure, that the US is just going to shoot no matter what. That doesn't sound like a good lesson.
well, I
That
mean, that's
doesn't
just
sound.
the
I just don't like that. I just don't
well,
like
because
the
I mean,
implications of that. That
well, the
means
implication of it is supposed to be, I mean, because there's a kind of a back and forth, between the Americans and the Russians on this
I
one. But
think it would be fine if that's what it was. If this altercation had made sense, I would be appreciative of it. But the reason why I don't like it, I don't mind that they shot. I mind that after over 20 years in this conflict, neither side knows how to communicate with each other. You would think they'd at least have some kind of uniform hand signals, even if they don't have at least a few people who know the opposite language. This would have made more sense in season 1, when everything was fresh and they were still getting used to each other. This is kind of stupid, and I hate it for that reason. And that they only failed
I don't
due
know,
to miscommunications and
maybe.
the absolute nonsense that they had no means to talk to each other. I don't believe it. And now I love Molly, but like you said, when she realized she couldn't read the rules of engagement, I think she should have gone back, asked for another copy of it, and had it typed on a computer so that she could read it herself. She's still the chief astronaut, and so the way she handled losing her eyesight in that moment was great. But after that moment, she should have known. She should have informed herself on what was going on. Because if it falls back on her that she didn't express the rules of engagement correctly, I guess maybe that's something we'll find out.
Well, you know,
Hopefully.
wars have been started over less than this, and you know what they say: the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the main issue in Star Trek is being able to communicate, being able to talk to each other. So it makes sense they go with this route. But after so many years, they can't even say basic words to each other. I can't.
Because I mean,
I can't.
the
I
whole
don't
idea
really
for
believe it.
me, I mean, I would believe it strictly because they're at a point in time where the Cold War is basically they don't like to talk to each other. They're not working together. And the only instance of them working together is literally just the Apollo Soyuz mission. And so there really is no mechanisms in place to really communicate with each other. So the Americans are working on their moon base, and then
What
the
do you mean
Russians are
no?
working on theirs, and
No.
we don't do anything together.
What do you mean no way to communicate with each other? It's called learning a language. What do you mean no
Well,
mechanisms?
Well, what I'm saying is that they're not communicating with. There's no active mechanism in place to communicate with each other, and that's the implication here.
They have radio. I don't know.
Well, I
You're
mean,
being
we don't
really
know what
vague. I don't
channel they're on.
understand.
Well, what I'm saying is that
They haven't got standardized direct comms.
yeah,
Okay,
Unfortunately.
that makes more sense.
Yeah. So I think is where your man was going there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and somebody I looked up a Reddit. I looked up somebody who could translate what the Russians were saying when they were being shot, and it makes it even sadder. The Cosmonaut 1 says, Americans, we weren't doing anything bad. We will leave. Cosmonaut 2, we should move to the box quickly. Cosmonaut 1, please lower your weapons. We're not a threat to you. Don't shoot. Cosmonaut 2, keep talking and don't make any surprising moves. Cosmonaut 1, we will explain everything. Just give us a minute. Cosmonaut 2, we're almost there. We're almost at the box. Cosmonaut 1, we're not doing anything bad. Please don't worry. Just give us a minute. And the cosmonauts get shot. So, great. I don't know. I don't like it when the US is made to be the bad guys, but whatever. But the songs in this episode are Roll with the Changes, When Gordo Blasts Off in the Shuttle by REO Speedwagon, and Back in Black by AC/DC with Gordo's triumphant return to the moon. But I'm definitely still interested, and I definitely want to see what happens next. Oh, well, I was away to talk about this, so I didn't think to do that. Too late now. Lance doesn't have his dinner when he's an open bar. Wait, what? What does that even mean, Mega Cropper? What are you talking
Open
about?
Bar is Critical Drinkers Thursday night chat show, which I'm the moderator on because I was his first ever moderator. But I've been on it about
cool.
4 times, but most of the times I'm on it pretty briefly because you know I've done the other streams with him, which are more my bag. But I have actually eaten when I've been on Open Bar, so you're wrong about that, dude. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, what's okay, so I was meaning to look up the physics of this poor cosmonaut getting burning to death in his spacesuit. What's interacting with the oxygen to cause this to happen? To cause him to ignite. Exactly. Why he combusts this way. But
I think
it's
it's covered
interesting.
in the following episode, but I forget exactly.
Oh, okay. There's a discussion on it. I was wondering about that. What is the oxidizer here? But yeah. Dinner for some, lunch for others. I'm still having leftover pineapple upside down birthday cake. Hey, happy belated birthday. Hopefully I said it to you when it happens. But nope, yep. Americans get another first. The first ones to kill on the moon. Yeah. DJ Play Nice. I mean, DJ Ronnie G. Different DJ. Sorry. I can't watch this show because I'll get angry that we aren't doing any of this cool stuff. Oh, that's true. I know, right? I mean, aside from the military aspect of it, it is really neat to see all the moon bases and all of the projects that we thought about in reality that were just on paper. And this show kind of brings them to life, which I do like that part.
And the funny thing is, I'm sure we could have done them all. You know, if we channeled our energies in that
Yeah.
direction, I'm sure we could be up there right now, no doubt. You know,
Yeah.
the only thing that's stopping it is when you think about it, is money, because the knowledge and the technology, it's all there for sure.
I mean, a lot of it too is, the big political thrust. It's like, even the space, we were actually doing it in the 60s. I mean, the popularity of the space program wasn't at a height. It was actually kind of unpopular. It wasn't really popular amongst the people until we actually successfully landed on the moon. And then once it became routine, people kind of went, oh, we can do that already. So it's whatever.
Yeah.
The public lost interest in it pretty quickly.
Highlighted in a very early episode of The Simpsons, I think you'll find.
Neat. RBM 371 says, interesting that Karen didn't have a problem crossing a line, but had a problem with the words "I love you." Yeah, when Danny, after they did unspeakable things, said "I love you," and that was too much for her. And then she was like, "Nope, you don't love me. Go away." And here are your clothes. And Dalek451 says, like I said before, Jill, when I watch a sci-fi show, I expect loads of sci-fi, not boring soap opera nonsense. Yeah, that kind of gets me too. Dalek. I'm very similar. I have some tolerance for it when it's relevant. The stuff with Margot's good. The stuff with Aleda's getting a little better. Although I want to see more growth there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some storylines that are more interesting and engaging than others, for sure. But I would say that on balance, the show is 70% solid, 30%, okay, can take or leave that. We could cut that story out, but somebody else might really like that story that I don't like.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Somebody loves every storyline from Mankind. That person exists out there. Canadian Spider-Man says it would be better with space lasers. Dalek agreed. How many great space shows are there without lasers? Not many.
Well, I think the thing that they miss out on this season, it's kind of mentioned earlier in the little recap of what happened in the 70s and the early 80s sort of thing, but I would have liked to have seen more of the Strategic Defense Initiative, the Star Wars program that we did, because that was Reagan's big thing, is Hail Mary throw for the the space program, and
Reagan's big money pit is what that was.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm wondering if it was still a money pit in this reality as well, but
or if it was real, because we actually do have progress in space that we don't have in our reality. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Gavin Blackburn says you can only de-escalate after escalation has occurred, but the Russians already shot down a passenger airliner, so there's that.
The way they tied that into the real history. Very clever.
Yes, they did use the real history in this episode to get rid of Thomas Paine, which is one of the last real life people who's still in the show. Well, I mean, I guess not anymore. Protocol says shoot first. Oh, I couldn't read the protocol itself because when they showed it, we only saw it through Molly's eyes, and she couldn't read it. DJ Play Nice says, Jill, thanks for that translation. You're welcome. I was lucky to find it so easily. Lance says it won't be for everyone, but the show is anything but soap opera. Just that part was soap opera. That really, I did like it. But I guess you know that already. Gavin Blackburn says, don't wait for the translation. Answer the question.
Actually, I think that's based on something too. I mean, not just from Star Trek, but
You're too modest, Lance. You're one of the more informative guests. That's true.
I can, well, on that subject, I can tell you exactly where that's from. That was Senator is his name Cat Dealey, the guy who represented the US at the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that's him saying to the Russian ambassador, "Don't wait for the translation. Answer the question: do you have missile launchers in Cuba?" Because that is a famous quote from the film. Is it 57 Days, the movie with Kevin Costner and about the Cuban Missile Crisis? Amazing film if you haven't seen it, with Bruce Greenwood playing Kennedy. A great performance as Kennedy as well. One of the best I've seen. Yeah, that's where that quote comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that is pretty good. Okay. So from the Cuban Missile Crisis. Neat. I guess I should check that out.
I may have got the sentences wrong, but he had a nickname. That's what I remember.
Gavin Blackburn, if the bullet didn't kill him, the piercing the spacesuit and it somehow ignited the oxygen, which was the fire that killed him. It was shown on the Kevin Costner movie 13 Days.
There you go. Yeah, 13 days, not 57 days. Don't know where I got
Well, there.
57 days from. That's the title of another movie, I think. But yeah, 13
Probably.
days. That's the one. Great film.
Hello to Penny. Yeah, that's the second episode. And so we've just got the last 2 episodes to finish off season 2. We're about through season 2.
Have you seen the next 2 yet, Jill?
Not yet.
Okay, so you're not doing a sneaky and watching them ahead.
No, I'm not. I'm going one by one.
I'll
Or
try
two
and
by
be
two.
here next
2 by
week because I can't wait to see what you think, because a lot of stuff happens next episode.
I'm excited. I'm hopeful that things get better. So
It'll be like watching episodes 9 and 10 within a few seconds of each other. So, because you'll be like, "Oh my god, I've got to find out what happens next," and you'll be straight on with the next one.
that's usually how it's done.
Yeah,
Gavin Blackburn says it is. Well, and it was. If I would have had more time, I would have been tempted to watch more. Gavin Blackburn says 13 days. These Kevin Costner movies keep getting longer.
What they do?
A 13-day long movie. And on Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country. Mega Cropper says the movie is on YouTube. That's convenient. Nice. So any other thoughts about this episode, Phil, that you wanted to share? Or
I'm just eager to see what your thoughts are going to be for how the season ends. So
yeah.
I'll leave anything else I say for next time.
Okay. And Lance?
Yeah, pretty similar. Because really next episode is really where the proverbial space shit hits the fan.
Oh no.
So I'm curious to. I wish I could be there live. You should do a live reaction video, Jill. If you're watching the next episode, that would be good.
Yeah, you would have heard me curse out Karen if I would have done a live reaction for this one.
Indeed. No, it's a solid show. I mean, and it's a show that really grows on you over time, and you can really see the effort they put in, especially on repeated viewings. I can't praise it highly enough, really.
Yeah,
I think it's not for everyone, but
Yeah, and I do think even the simulation chamber for the Pathfinder is beautiful. So I can't wait to actually see that ship and the actual Apollo Soyuz mission be successful. I'm waiting for those 2 things.
On that subject, the production design for the show for these seasons was done by Dan Bishop. And he was the production designer for the entire series of Mad Men, which it's a show I've never watched, but he did 89 episodes of that very popular show. Not a show I've seen, but he was also the production designer on Carnival or Carnivale, depending on how you want to pronounce it. kind of weird sort of dystopian show, very kind of Tim Burton-esque, that came out in 2003. He's done a few big feature films as well. Some stuff you might have seen, like Thunderheart with Val Kilmer back in 1992, and a couple of other things. But one of the things that really makes this show work for me is the production design, the look of the ships, the look of the interiors of the base. It all just feels very real. It feels like, okay, if they had built a base on the moon, this is what it would have looked like. And that they really sell that well. And I think that's a really key component to this show's success, along with the good writing and acting and performances. But the look of the show is very, very important. You're picking up on things that your brain doesn't immediately register, which is why you see a lot of them. You take more note of them the second time. And, you know, a lot of that stuff is always down to the production designer or the art director. And they don't get a lot of praise on this kind of stuff. So that's why I'm shouting them out now, because I think it's a key component of this show's success.
And I really appreciate you saying that. I didn't know he worked on Mad Men. Scott, I was trying to show the show to Scotty R37. He hasn't seen much of it, but when he did see it, he said, "Hey, it's Mad Men in space." And I guess he just saw it instantly. He saw it. and
Mad Men in space with assault rifles would be a more accurate depiction. But yes,
especially this season.
Yes. And if we're talking about the production, it's also important to mention Michael and Denise Ikuda also work on this show, which might help towards all the space stuff. Hopefully, that's what they're working on. And I appreciate them quite a bit, of course, for their work on Star Trek.
I'm going to try and get Chris Marshall to come on my channel for an interview, who's one of the lead cast.
That's Danielle.
Yeah, she played. Yeah, Danielle Paul. I'm just waiting for the right moment to approach her, but I've got a bit of an in there. So
that'd be great.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. No, she was really good in these episodes.
I've heard she's an absolutely lovely person in real life. So that's why I've chosen her to approach out of all the cast. And you know, let's keep fingers crossed. We'll see. If I get her on, you have to come be my co-host, Jill, for that one.
Oh, for sure. I really like her character, so that'll be good. She's doing great.
I'll be jealous of you too.
So DJ Played Nice says Carnival was awesome. It should have been renewed.
Yeah, I only ever saw the pilot for that. I never saw the rest of the show. I can't remember why. I don't think it was because I didn't like it. I think I was directing a play at the time, and I didn't have a lot of time for TV, but I can't remember.
And usually when I get to the end here, I say what the next 2 episodes are, but every single time I forget to look them up.
Oh, I can tell you if you need me to.
I can. Well, I'm looking for them now.
Next one is Triage. And The Grey, episode 10, which may or may not be to do with aliens.
Oh, that sounds fun. Why not? Just aliens show up on the moon.
Yeah, that's kind of where I thought they were going when I saw that title, but you'll need to watch it to see.
That's
funny. Yeah, I think you'll be surprised.
Well, darn. No aliens. Spoilers. Just kidding. It would be weird to show aliens this early in the
Yeah, I think the show's going to be pretty. I think the show's going to be pretty grounded, and I don't think we're ever going to get an answer to. I think 2 things aren't going to happen in this show, and that's going to be we're not going to find out if there's any life in the universe, and we're never going to find out if they will achieve faster than light travel. We're just going to be stuck in the solar system, and we're going to be just developing faster and faster drives to get us around the solar system. If they ever do have FTL or anything, it'll be in another spin-off, is my theory.
I'm going to disagree on that. My money is on that the final episode of the final season will end on some kind of ambiguous first contact, because any good show will always end on a high, and any good writer will tell you always leave the audience wanting more. And I think that they'll end it on some kind of, there's a signal, something tangible, might be a weird message, maybe they'll see a face of somebody, and boom, that'll be the end of the final episode, and it'll be like first contact is made with someone. We're not going to see no ship landing or ET waddling out of a door or something with a plant pot or anything like that, but it'll be something very technical and minimum visuals, very
Well, I mean,
ambiguous.
So we're not going to have an alien take the form of somebody's dad, like in Contact.
No, I don't think there'll be anything like that. But
well, that's how we'll get Ed back.
I do think there might be some kind of first contact signal, and I think that'll be the final.
I think the final episode probably end up being them preparing for like a generation ship that they're going to prepare to launch something to another solar system. But
yeah,
that's my thing. That would be how I would do it. But
I mean, it could be that they're launching a mission to find the source of the signal, which is the initial premise at the beginning of Space 1999. Funnily enough.
I mean, you're right. That'd be good.
Greek letters says, "I bet the Soviets will counterattack in great numbers and wipe out everything." Oh no, that doesn't sound good.
Well, better not.
Oh, Gavin Blackbird. The show will end with Commander Riker saying, "End program." Computer program.
Like these are the voyages, Star Trek Enterprise. It better
Then
not.
with engage.
Yeah.
That'll be the last line.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be a Star Trek prequel, they said. Well, unofficially.
Yeah. No, I buy into that though. I just because of the way the science is done,
Mm-hmm.
It feels real to me.
Yeah, they do a really great job with the science. It sounds good. Even if it's wrong, I don't know. Hopefully someone in the chat tells me, but I don't have
my meager science background tells me that it's okay. I could pass it.
Yeah. Right. And even if it's wrong, as long as it's consistent within the universe, then it's the truth in the alternate universe.
Yeah.
And that's our show for today. I think actually I'm going to end it early because my son is home from school. He's doing school from home because they're fixing the AC at school, and so he's doing all his schoolwork at home, which means I need to make sure that he's staying on top of his assignments and stuff. He
Perfect time
is.
to catch up on his educational episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Right. Yes, that's good. That's exactly what I'm going to. Hopefully he's got all his work done and we can watch some Star Trek. That would be nice.
There you go. I'm going to watch some Next Gen myself in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, speaking of Next Gen, this Friday actually, I'll be talking about relics for Canadian Star Trek Day, which is the day that Star Trek first premiered in 1966 in Canada on Friday on September 6th. And so we're gonna watch relics, and yeah, so it's a 58th anniversary. Why don't you tell us what you're up to on your channel, Philip?
Okay. As I've mentioned before, I'm Fleet Admiral Levi on the YouTubes. We usually talk about science fiction, fantasy, and horror. This weekend, we'll be talking about Star Trek, the 58th anniversary, Star Trek's 58th birthday. And it'll be on September 6th, even though it's on September 8th for us Americans. It'll be for the whole weekend. That's the theme. And then the following week, I'm going to do something which is super niche, but everybody apparently here kind of is familiar with it. Because September 13th is Breakaway Day in Space 1999. So I'm going to do a review and a retrospective of Space 1999 on September 13th. So if you want to all tune in for that, you can. If not, then you can always watch it later.
Oh yeah, it's really great to check things out on the replay. Definitely do that, even if you can't catch it live. And let's see, and that's all you've got. Let me grab the other link.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and please, like, subscribe, do all the things.
I just subscribed to your channel, actually, Phil. I thought I was subbed already, but I've just done that.
Well, YouTube sometimes does you a favor of unsubscribing.
No, that's to your Twitter. Sorry, so we were in touch.
Yeah.
I'll do the YouTube as well, though.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can get you on the Space 1999 stream. That'd be nice.
Oh yeah, this is what I've got coming up next, Jill. I'm doing a special episode of Chew the Fat on my channels, where we talk about a topic in great detail, chew the fat, so to speak. And we're doing a special on Sunday at 8 o'clock on Warriors of the Wasteland B movies. So all of those Mad Max ripoffs that had really cool covers that you rented out between 1982 and 1992, some of which were okay, some of which were pretty decent, some of which were pretty bad. And myself and the Inside Man are going to do a whole stream taking them all apart and talking which are the best and which are the worst and which ones we have personal affection for. So we're doing that at Sunday at 8 o'clock UK time. That's 3 p.m. East Coast. And then I'm live in a few hours.
Cool.
I'm live in 2.5 hours for the Nielsen Ratings, which is my weekly show where we talk about anything we've watched. I think mainly we're going to be talking about the Terminator animation show that's on Netflix, which I wasn't sure about when I was watching it, but you've got to watch the whole thing. It pays off. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Terminator 0.
About halfway through, you'll be thinking, "Oh, I don't know about this," and with good reason. But actually, then when you find out things, then it all makes sense. So
more serialized narratives.
Yeah, it's an 8-part, 30-minute, 25 minutes per episode animated version of what happened when Skynet took over, but from the perspective of characters in Japan. And it's very well done. Very well done indeed.
Sounds exciting.
We're going to be taking that apart tonight, along with all the other kind of stuff we've been watching. So that's in 2.5 hours. And of course, I've got my interview with Gail Ann Hurd coming up at the end of the month. Produced Terminator, Terminator 2, and Aliens, and some other big movies you may have heard of. So she's coming on the 25th of September. Yeah.
Very nice.
Awesome. That's very good. And please check out Lance from the Outcast Creative. Incredible mind that Lance has. So I'm lucky anytime he wants to come and talk to me. So thank you very much for being here today, Lance. I'm
always grateful for the invite. I love talking about these things if I feel I've got something useful to contribute. I try not to come on when I'm eating my dinner, but sometimes, for Jill, you've got to go the extra mile. That's what I say.
No, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that sentiment. Well, yeah, it was really nice last week when I was on my own when you showed up. That was really cool too.
Yeah, well, I definitely. I was actually had something. I was doing something else, but doesn't matter. I thought, no, I can't have you on your own, so I jumped on. That was fine.
Yeah, sorry about that one on my behalf, but
no, but that's okay. You were moving. You had a good reason for needing to be away, but
that was a lot of stuff to do. But
I think it needs to be said for all of us that YouTube should always take second place to any real life issues, and
well, sure, yeah.
When that switches over, you normally end up with problems. So, but my personal commitments were not enough to stop me from popping on for a bit. So it's fine. It's all good.
Nice. Yeah, 3D stuff should definitely take priority. I agree. And I'm glad you were able to move successfully and everything's going well with your teaching. Thank you for being here also. Yeah. Philip,
it's the most stressful day of your life after your wedding. That's what they say.
No.
Oh, he's still waiting for that
February,
part.
So yeah.
Oh, there you go, man. So you're doing both of them in the same, near enough 12-month period. So
yeah, almost.
Is it a Star Trek wedding?
No, I couldn't talk her into that.
Okay.
But you know,
Yeah.
she likes it. I'm introducing her to it slowly. We're gonna watch season 5 of TNG. We're starting.
Nice. Okay, you're watching good Star Trek. That's good news.
You mean season 5 will be the first Trek she's ever watched, or?
No, that we started with the original series, and then we went to the animated show, and then we're working our way through the next gen. And
Okay.
then I'm trying to do this
You're
thing
doing it
where
right.
when we get to season 6, we'll do Deep Space Nine together, but we'll see.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, she got through the first season of Next Gen, so that's good.
Yeah, she seems interested.
Yeah,
so.
if she made it through Code of Honor and she's still watching, you've got
Oh, no,
to
skip.
keep her.
That's a
I
big
did
ask
skip some
right there.
episodes. I did skip that one.
Oh no!
Yeah, do some key skipping. That's a good idea, man.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't want to have that
is
conversation.
I don't
So,
blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Good shout.
But honey, they were supposed to be lizards.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to have that at all. We've skipped a few, but I've tried to keep her watching all the good ones.
Oh, good. Oh, good news. Yeah. Does that mean but sometimes you got to watch the bad ones. They're part of the experience. But it's probably a good idea. You're curating Star Trek for her. No,
I guess I've
Lieutenant
watched a couple
Yar.
of bad ones. But,
No vaccine.
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it right. No, Lieutenant Yar. No vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Well, that's how you bring Scotty R37 out from lurking. You mentioned Code of Honor. DJ says
that's like the man trap for Scotty. Mention Code of Honor.
Well, there it is. Well, but yes, I do need to attend to 3D business, just as he said, important stuff. So we'll be ending this a little earlier than normal. Otherwise, I'd find some more things to talk about. But I'll let you guys carry on with your Tuesday. Thank you for being here.
You as well.
And thank you too. Yeah.
Thanks, Joel and Lance. It's always fun.
Have you. And also to the chat, Scotty R37. Thank you for being here. Penny, Greek Letters, Gavin Blackburn, DJ Play Nice, RVM 371. And Mega Cropper. Mega Cropper was also here. Dalek 451. It was so good to see you. I do remember also that D Odyssey, LGG, and Mr. Londell were all here, which is fantastic to see them. I hope to see you guys soon. I would like to, hang out. Y'all are really good friends. And then of course Kimberly Ann Hart was incredible in the chat. And she actually watched all of For All Mankind, so that happened hopefully because of my show. Gordo and his porn stash. Yes, I did say that. I was hoping he would shave that. Like he's losing weight, he's looking better, and he just still has that for some reason.
It's the 1980s. You have to keep it.
I thought he was.
I believe that's one of the most historically accurate points of the show. So
yeah. Okay, I won't complain about it then anymore.
Yeah, you got to keep it in the 80s.
Yeah.
And Sort of Poop is Q Burr and a $3 super sticker from RVM371. Thank you for the last minute present, RVM371. I appreciate that. Let's see. It's a hippo waving, saying next time. And let's see what we got in my thank yous here.
My congratulations, Captain. Dazzling display of logic. Simple feeling.
Why are you afraid of flying?
There are always possibilities, Spock said.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
There it is. That's what I needed. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks, panel. See the members tomorrow. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Scotty R37. we do have a membership stream. If you're a member of my channel, we have membership stream at 11 a.m. Central, same time as my Tuesday and Friday shows. Tomorrow, and we'll talk about stuff and things, and I'll figure out tonight what we're going to talk about.
You can never talk about enough stuff.
Yeah, well, we're gonna pack it with all kinds of stuff and put it in a suitcase and take it somewhere.
Mhm.
RBM 371, did you know I watch Star Trek 2 every birthday? Wow, that's a really great tradition. Dalek 451 says, "Hey Jill, did you know that StreamYard has a feature called Reusable Studios now?" What? No, I didn't, but I'll look into that as I go.
Yeah, I've not heard
I
of
can't
that.
do. I shouldn't do technical things live on air. I'll be.
No, indeed.
That'll
I've
be
made that
boring.
mistake myself many times. Not a good idea.
Yep. All right. Now I'm having the Lord of the Rings kind of goodbye here. And you think it's the end of the stream, and I keep going, but no, for real, this is the end.
That's right.
I'll
Alrighty.
talk to you guys later.
All right.
We
See you
shall see.
next time.
Learn all that is learnable.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
May we together become greater than the sum of both of us.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.
No matter where you go, there you are.